The night was calm. The human sat alone in his small house, listening to the crickets sing in the darkness. The stars were clear above, and the cool wind carried the smell of earth after a long, hot day. It felt like any other evening. Nothing special, nothing strange. But then, a sound broke the silence, a sharp crash like something heavy falling into the garden behind his house. The man froze. His heart jumped. He thought maybe it was a tree branch, maybe an animal. But deep inside, he felt it was something else, something more. He took a lantern and stepped outside. The garden was quiet, shadows stretched long. The wooden fence creaked in the wind. He moved slowly, eyes searching. Then he saw it. Someone was lying in the dirt, a shape too small to be a man, too fragile to be a thief. As he came closer, his breath caught. It was a woman, not human. Her skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight, almost glowing silver, and in her arms she clutched a small child. The child's eyes half open, shining with a light like distant stars. The sight was unreal, as if a dream had broken into his ordinary life. The woman tried to move. Her lips trembled. Blood marked her forehead. Her voice was weak, almost a whisper carried by the wind. "Please, don't let them take her," she begged, holding the child tighter. Then her body went still. She collapsed completely against the ground. The man dropped to his knees, panic racing in his chest. He touched her shoulder. Her skin was cold, but she still breathed, faint and shallow. The child blinked up at him, tiny fingers reaching toward his hand. The little one made no sound, only clung to his finger as if begging for trust. He looked around the dark garden. Fear prickled at the back of his neck. Who was chasing them? Who were they? And why did this woman give her last words for the child? Questions burned in his mind, but there were. As no time for answers, the human lifted the woman carefully. She was lighter than she looked, bones fragile under her glowing skin. With his other arm he cradled the child, the little one pressed against his chest, heartbeat fast. He carried them inside, locking the door behind him. The house suddenly felt too small, too exposed. Inside, he laid the woman on the couch, covering her with a blanket. Her breathing was rough. Every rise and fall of her chest felt like it might be her last. The child would not let go of his hand, glowing eyes watching him as if measuring his soul. Outside, the wind carried another sound, faint but sharp, a distant hum in the sky, like engines moving low above the trees. The man stiffened. His gut told him the hunters were near. Whoever they were coming, and they would not stop until they found what had fallen into his garden. The lantern flickered, shadows shook on the walls. The man stood between the door and the fragile figures on his couch. His mind raced. He could run. He could pretend he never saw them, but the memory of her voice echoed inside him. Please don't let them take her. He looked down at the child, small, glowing, clutching his hand as if he was the only hope left in the universe. And at that moment, he understood something. His life had changed forever. The night was no longer calm. It was the beginning of a storm, and he stood at the center of it with a promise he had never made but could not break. The house was silent except for the shallow breathing of the alien woman on the couch. The man stood still, listening. The hum outside grew louder. Strange engines moved across the night sky. He tightened his grip on the lantern, fear curling inside his chest. The child in his arms stirred, small glowing eyes staring at him again. They were not normal eyes, not like human ones. They held light inside them, as if the stars themselves had been caught and placed in her gaze. It made him shiver, yet it also made him feel something else. Trust, he whispered to the child, though he knew she might not understand. You're safe here, little one. I won't let anyone take you. The child blinked slowly. Her tiny hand reached up, touching his cheek. It was warm, gentle, almost calming. The man carried her upstairs, his old wooden steps creaking beneath him. He entered the small guest room. There he set her down on a bed, soft and clean, far from the cold dirt of the garden. The child looked around curiously, clutching the edge of the blanket with her tiny fingers. She made no cry, no sound, only silence. He checked the window. The sky outside was not normal. Faint red lights moved between the clouds. Scanning beams flashed across the ground, searching. His heart beat hard. He pulled the curtains tight, hoping no glow from the child's eyes would escape. Back downstairs, the alien woman shifted in pain, her body trembling. He rushed to her side, her eyes open just a little, unfocused but still burning with desperation. She tried to speak but only coughed. He gave her water, holding it to her lips. She drank weakly, then whispered again, "Don't let them find her," before falling back into a restless sleep. The man sat back, staring at her. Questions pressed heavy on his mind. Who were they? Why was the child so important? What danger followed them here? Yet every time he thought of walking away, The sound of her broken voice returned. It felt like a chain pulling at his heart. He heard noises outside, footsteps crunching, heavy and sharp. His blood ran cold. He peeked through the crack of the curtain, and his fear was confirmed. Tall figures moved across the street, armored shapes glowing faintly under the moon. Their voices carried in a language he could not understand, but their movements told the truth. They were hunting. The man's body tensed. He hurried upstairs again. The child sat on the bed, still holding the blanket. She tilted her head as if she sensed his fear, her glowing eyes fixed on him. The sound of boots grew louder, closer. Scanning beams swept across his garden fence. "Quiet, please," he whispered to the child, placing a finger to his lips. Strangely, she seemed to understand. She pulled the blanket over her small frame, hiding her glow. Her eyes peeked out just enough to watch him, trust still in her stare. The man's heart raced as shadows passed by his window. Voices murmured. Scanners buzzed against the walls. For a moment he thought they would break down the door. His whole body shook, ready to fight, ready to protect. But then the footsteps moved away, fading slowly into the night. He exhaled, shoulders sinking. The danger was not gone, only delayed. He looked again at the child. She had fallen asleep, her small chest rising and falling under the blanket. Even in sleep, her tiny hand held onto the corner as if clinging to safety. The man sat beside her, watching the glow of her skin under the fabric. He felt the weight of the choice pressing on him. This was no ordinary child, and this was no ordinary night. The hunters would return, stronger, sharper. And if he wanted to keep his promise, he would have to be ready. Outside, the engines hummed low, circling like wolves around the village. The night was no long. His own. It belonged to the hunt, and in his house, hidden upstairs, was the child every hunter wanted, but only he had sworn to protect. The night felt heavier now, the air thick with tension. The man could hear the faint hum of engines returning, sharper, faster, closer than before. He clutched the child to his chest, feeling her warmth, her small body trembling slightly. Footsteps struck the garden path, deliberate and heavy. Metal clinked as the hunters approached the gate. Their lights flickered across the yard, catching the edges of trees, shadows dancing across the walls. The man held his breath, every muscle ready to spring. The child stirred, sensing the movement, her glowing eyes blinking in the dark. She let out a tiny murmur, and the man whispered quickly, "It's okay, don't make a sound," his voice low, almost a shadow. Outside, a voice called, strange and harsh, words he could not understand, but the tone was clear. Command, threat, warning. The gate rattled as one of the hunters tried to push it open. He stepped forward silently, blocking the door with his weight, hoping it would hold. The alien woman groaned upstairs, the sound weak, but it carried fear with it. She reached for something under her cloak. The man's mind raced. He didn't know if she was friend or foe, but her eyes when she looked at him spoke only desperation. "Please help her," she seemed to say. A scanner light moved across the walls, sweeping over the window, where the child sat hiding under the blanket. The glow of her eyes reflected faintly, but she stayed still, small and quiet, trusting him, and that trust gave him courage. He grabbed an old metal lamp from the table, heavy in his hands. The hunters outside pushed harder, and he slammed the door. It shook under the pressure, wood cracking, but it held. For now, the sounds outside sent his heart racing. The child clutched his sleeve, tiny fingers squeezing tight. He looked down at her. Her eyes were bright, almost pleading. "I won't let them take you," he promised. Though the words felt fragile against the night, from upstairs came another sound, a faint rattle, then a soft thump. The alien woman moving, perhaps preparing, perhaps warning. The man didn't dare leave his post at the door. The hunters were growing impatient, their voices rising in alien shouts, lights sweeping the yard. Suddenly, one of them tried to climb the fence. A silhouette against the moon. The man's hand gripped a heavy chair, ready to swing. The child squeaked quietly and he froze, panic biting his chest. The shadow paused as if sensing he was ready to fight, then slid down, retreating slightly. The tension stretched endlessly, minutes feeling like hours. The hunters outside whispered among themselves, their lights moving faster now. The sound of engines rising again, ready to storm the house at any moment. The man moved slowly to the window, peeking out, careful not to give his position. He counted at least 4 of them, armored, tall and precise, each scanning every inch of the yard, their weapons faintly glowing, silent threats in their grip. The child stirred again, her small voice a whisper. "They want me," she said, almost like a question, almost like a warning. He held her tighter, shaking, but determined. "Not if I can stop them," he said, his jaw tight. He glanced upstairs, the alien woman watching, her eyes filled with fear and hope. He understood then, whatever came next, he could not fail. This child, this moment, it was all that mattered, and the hunters, no matter how strong, would not take her without a fight. Outside, the wind carried faint engine hums, closer, sharper. The night no longer safe. The hunters had arrived, and the game had begun. The hunters' engines roared louder now, their lights cutting through the darkness. The man's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel the child trembling in his arms, tiny fingers gripping his shirt, desperate and fragile. He looked at the alien woman upstairs, her eyes wide, almost pleading. She held something in her hands, a small device glowing faintly. He didn't know what it did, but she nodded once, a silent signal, and he understood. It was time. Carefully, he stepped toward the side door, every creak of the floorboards like a gunshot in the quiet house. The child clutched his neck tighter, her small voice whispering, "Please," and he whispered back, "I won't let them take you." Outside, the hunter's shadows moved like ghosts across the garden, scanning, searching, unaware of the door that now slowly opened. He pushed it just enough to slip through, the cold night air hitting his face, sharp and biting. The alien woman followed silently, her device glowing brighter now, a strange light pulsating softly. The child in his arms stayed silent, sensing the danger, feeling the urgency. The man held his breath, stepping carefully over the garden rocks, avoiding the patches of light. A sudden engine revved close to the fence, one of the hunters spotting movement, and the man froze, hoping the shadows hid them. He pressed the child against his chest, feeling her heartbeat fast and small. The alien woman touched his arm lightly, motioning toward a narrow path behind the garden. He nodded, understanding. Every step had to be careful, quiet, invisible. They moved slowly, crouched low, past tall bushes and overturned planters, the hunter's lights sweeping dangerously close, illuminating leaves, shadows shifting. The man felt sweat running down his face, his muscles tense, ready to run. Suddenly, a hunter's voice shouted, alien words harsh and sharp. One of them had seen movement, a light turned toward them, and panic surged. The man sprinted, careful but fast, the child clinging tightly, her small cries muffled against his chest. The alien woman followed, holding her device high, and a strange pulse of light shot forward, hitting the hunter, who froze mid-step, startled, confused, giving them a few precious seconds. They ran through the narrow path, bushes scratching their arms and faces, the man's breath coming in sharp gasps. Adrenaline flooding his veins, he could hear the hunters scrambling behind, engines roaring, shouts echoing in the night. At the end of the path, a small clearing opened, and he stopped, looking for cover, the child hiding slightly behind him, the alien woman scanning, the device still glowing, humming softly, an eerie, protective sound. One hunter appeared at the edge of the clearing, stepping forward, weapon raised, light sweeping. He had no time to think, only to act. He swung a nearby branch, hitting a metal barrel, creating a loud clang, distracting the hunter for a brief moment. The alien woman motioned, and they moved again, sprinting toward an old shed at the far corner, hope and fear warring inside him. Every step could be their last, but he refused to give up. The child whispered again, "They will catch us," her tiny voice trembling, and he kissed her forehead quickly. "Not if I can stop them," he said, determination burning in his chest. The hunter's footsteps grew closer, faster, the night alive with danger. The escape was only the beginning, and the man knew the hardest part had yet to come. The clearing seemed endless, the shadows closing in, the hunters relentless, and the man's heart was set. No matter the cost, he would not let them take her. The man ran through the dark, his chest burning, the child clinging tightly to him, her small arms wrapped around his neck. He could hear the hunter's shouts fading slightly behind them, but he knew it was only temporary. Danger was still close. Ahead, the alien woman pointed toward a narrow gap between two large rocks, a hidden path he had never seen before. She whispered urgently, "This way, it will lead to safety." And without thinking, he ducked into the shadowed opening, careful not to make a sound. The path was tight, the walls of rock pressing close, forcing him to bend, every step slow and cautious. The child shivering against him, frightened but silent. The alien woman moving beside him, her device glowing faintly to light the way. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, and the distant hum of engines reminded him that the hunters were still out there, relentless, searching, and if they found them now, there would be no escape. Finally, the path opened into a small cavern, hidden behind a waterfall, the water cascading down in a silver curtain, the sound loud and masking their entry. The man breathed deeply, relief mixing with fear. Inside, the cavern was cool and damp, and the alien woman quickly set the child down, crouching beside her, whispering softly in alien words. Words he didn't understand, but the tone was comforting, calming, and the child's small sobs began to fade. The man looked around, noticing strange markings on the walls, glowing faintly in rhythm with the alien woman's device. It was a sanctuary, hidden and secret, a place no hunter would easily find, and hope sparked in his chest. He sat down, still holding the child close, feeling her tiny heartbeat, steadying his own nerves. The alien woman finally spoke to him in broken English. "They will come, but here we can plan." Her eyes serious, yet a hint of trust in them. Outside, the night. Tea seemed endless, the sound of the waterfall echoing like a shield, protecting them. And for the first time since the chase began, the man allowed himself a moment to breathe, to think, to plan their next move. The alien woman touched the wall, and a hidden door opened, revealing another chamber filled with supplies, food, and strange glowing tools. It was clear someone had prepared this sanctuary for emergencies, for fugitives, and he wondered who could have done this. The child looked up at him with wide eyes, still trembling, and he whispered, "You're safe now, I promise." And she leaned into him, her small trust warming his heart, giving him strength. The alien woman handed him a small device, glowing softly, explaining that it could track their pursuers and even disrupt the hunter's sensors. He held it carefully, realizing how much this sanctuary had prepared them, giving them a chance to fight back. Hours passed quietly, the man, the child, and the alien woman sitting together, sharing small bits of food, whispering plans, listening to the distant sounds of the night, every sound making them tense, yet hopeful. The sanctuary felt alive, protective, almost sentient, and the man realized this was more than just a hiding place. It was a symbol, a safe ground, a chance to change the course of their struggle. But even in this hidden sanctuary, danger loomed. The hunters were relentless, and the man knew they could not stay hidden forever. The fight for the child's safety had only just begun, and as he looked at her sleeping in his arms, he made a silent vow. No matter what came next, he would not let anyone take her from him. The morning light barely touched the sanctuary, shadows still clinging to the walls, and the man knew time was slipping. The hunters would not give up, and they had to move before more arrived. The alien woman wrapped the child in a soft glowing cloak, whispering, "We cannot stay, they will find us. Follow my lead." Her eyes scanning the hidden paths that twisted through the cliffs and forests outside. The man nodded, his heart pounding, every sound heightened, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the rustle of leaves, even the distant call of a bird seemed amplified in his mind. They stepped quietly into the dense forest. The child held close, her small hands gripping him tightly, and the alien woman led the way, her device scanning the paths ahead, alerting them to any approaching danger. Suddenly, a whistle pierced the air, sharp and unnatural, and the man froze, recognizing the signal. The hunters had found them, their numbers growing, moving faster than expected. He whispered, "We need to split. Confuse them." And the alien woman shook her head. "No, we stay together. Trust me." Her voice calm but urgent, and he realized she had a plan, a hidden route known only to her. The forest became a maze, tall trees and thick vines blocking sight, the hunters' footsteps echoing behind, and every turn brought uncertainty. Traps they could not see, cliffs that dropped into shadows. A sudden movement caught his eye, a hunter stepping too close to a weak bridge of vines and rocks, and the alien woman acted, sending a pulse from her device. The ground trembled, and the hunter fell, screaming. The man seized the moment, pushing the child forward. "Keep moving!" And they ran, their breaths harsh, the adrenaline making their muscles burn, the forest alive with danger and possibility. A river appeared, rushing fast and cold, and the alien woman assessed it. "We can cross here. But be careful," she said, and the man held the child above his head, splashing through the water, careful with every step. The hunters followed, their shouts growing louder, but the river slowed them, tripping and sliding, and the alien woman used another device, creating illusions, lights dancing in the forest, confusing their pursuers. They reached a cliff edge, and the man froze. The drop was enormous, but the alien woman had a rope, glowing with energy. She threw it down. "Trust me," she said, and he took the child in one arm, grabbing the rope with the other. One by one, they descended, the wind whipping against them, the man's heart in his throat, but the alien woman's grip steady, the child's small hands clutching him, and for a moment, hope shone brightly. At the bottom, the forest opened into a wide valley, safe for now, and they collapsed to the ground, breathing hard, the sound of the hunters fading behind them. The alien woman looked at him, serious. "They will not stop. We need allies. We need help." And the man nodded, understanding the journey was far from over, but for the first time the child smiled, her eyes shining with trust. The valley was calm, almost peaceful, and the man held the child, whispering promises he could barely keep. "I will protect you, no matter what." And the alien woman placed a hand on his shoulder. "Together, we can survive." Above, the sky brightened, a new day beginning, yet danger still lingered. But inside the valley, they found a moment of safety, a place to plan, and the bond between human and alien grew stronger. The escape had been dangerous, tense, and frightening, but it had shown them their strength, their courage, and the lengths they would go to protect the child. And as they rested, hidden in the valley, the man knew that the story was far from over, the next challenge waiting. But for now, they had survived together. The valley stretched before them, quiet and untouched, but the man knew peace was temporary. Every shadow could hide danger, and the hunters would not stop until they had the child. The alien woman scanned the horizon with her glowing eyes, searching for signs of life, of shelter, anything that could give them a chance to rest safely. And then she stopped, pointing toward a cluster of large rocks. "There," she whispered. "A hidden sanctuary. My ancestors used it long ago. Few know this path exists." And the man followed, holding the child tightly, every step cautious, every noise raising tension. The entrance was narrow, almost invisible from the valley, vines hanging like curtains, and inside the air was cool, damp, and strangely peaceful, shadows forming strange shapes on the walls. They moved deeper, the alien woman guiding them. "We are safe for now, but not for long," she said. "We must plan, and the child must rest." And the man gently laid the child down on a soft moss bed, her small body trembling from fear and exhaustion. He looked around, noticing carvings on the stone walls, glowing faintly with alien symbols. "These markings, what are they?" he asked, and the woman smiled faintly. "Messages, warnings, histories of my people, some of them forgotten, some still powerful." The man nodded, trying to focus, but the tension never left. Every sound outside made him flinch, and even in the sanctuary he could not shake the feeling of being hunted. Suddenly, a soft humming filled the air, coming from the carvings, the walls vibrating slightly, and the alien woman placed her hand on the stone, eyes widening. "The sanctuary recognizes us. It will help protect the child," she whispered, awe in her voice. The man watched, amazed, as the carvings glowed brighter, light forming a protective barrier around the inner chamber, and for the first time, he felt a flick. Tear of hope, the child safe, even if only for a while. Hours passed, the child slept peacefully, and the man and the woman spoke in whispers, planning their next move. "We cannot stay here forever. The hunters will find another way," he said. "But where do we go?" The alien woman looked at him, serious. "There is a network of hidden paths, old tunnels beneath the valley. Some lead to other sanctuaries. Some are dangerous, but we have no choice." And he nodded, ready to follow, ready to face whatever came next. As they spoke, the sanctuary seemed alive, small lights moving along the walls, a faint hum like breathing. And the man realized this place was more than shelter. It was a guardian, a witness to their fight. Suddenly, a sharp sound outside made them freeze, the entrance shaking slightly, dust falling from above, and the man grabbed a glowing stick from the wall, ready to defend, the alien woman standing beside him, fierce and determined. "Not yet," she whispered. "They are testing, probing, but they cannot break the sanctuary's protection, not now." And he understood. The hunters could not see them, could not reach them, but the danger was still very real. Night fell, and the sanctuary's glow grew stronger, wrapping them in light, the child safe, the man and woman exhausted but alert. And outside, the shadows of the hunters moved, searching, unaware that their prey had found a refuge. Inside, the man whispered to the child, "You are safe here for now." And the alien woman touched his shoulder. "We will survive, together, and the sanctuary will guide us." The hum of the walls a promise of protection. For the first time, the man believed in the possibility of hope, of strategy, of fighting back. And the hidden sanctuary became more than a place of rest. It was a symbol of resistance, of courage, and of the bond forming between human and alien. The sanctuary was quiet, the soft hum of the walls echoing like a heartbeat. But the man knew the calm would not last. The hunters would not give up, not until the child was theirs. He held the child close, feeling her tiny heartbeat against his chest, and the alien woman prepared, eyes glowing brighter than ever, energy radiating from her like a shield, ready for what was coming. Outside, the ground trembled, shadows moving quickly. The hunters had found them, or at least sensed the sanctuary's presence, and the man tightened his grip, his mind racing with plans, escape routes, and traps. A loud roar shattered the calm. The hunters entering the valley, scanning for the sanctuary, weapons ready, their alien forms massive and terrifying. But the sanctuary's walls glowed, a barrier of light rising between them and the intruders. The alien woman raised her hands, speaking in an ancient language, the carvings on the walls responding, light forming sharp shapes, jagged and bright like claws, defending the inner chamber, and the man marveled at the power surrounding them. One hunter stepped closer, reaching toward the barrier, but his hand froze in the glow, pain spreading through him, and he stumbled back, the others roaring in anger, frustrated that the child was just beyond reach. The man whispered to the alien woman, "We can't stay hidden forever. We need to fight." And she nodded, her eyes meeting his, a silent agreement passing between them, their bond stronger than fear. Suddenly, the child stirred, glowing faintly in the dim light, her small hands moving, and the man realized the child had a power of her own, a hidden strength, something the hunters did not understand. The alien woman smiled faintly. "She is more than they know, and she chose us." And the man felt a surge of courage, knowing that together they could face anything, no matter how terrifying. Outside, the hunters tried to force their way in, striking at the sanctuary, but the light flared, sending shockwaves that threw them back, and the man grabbed a glowing shard from the wall, preparing to confront them directly. He stepped outside, the alien woman beside him, the child in his arms glowing softly, and the hunters hesitated, seeing the courage and power radiating from them, realizing this would not be an easy victory. The battle began. A clash of strength and will, the man and alien woman moving together with precision, the child's light protecting them, striking fear into the hunters, who had never faced such combined force. The valley shook with the fight, rocks falling, winds rising, but they held their ground, refusing to let the child fall into the hunters' hands. And slowly, one by one, the hunters began to retreat, realizing their plan had failed. Finally, silence fell, broken only by the soft glow of the sanctuary and the child's gentle breathing. And the man set her down, looking at the alien woman, both exhausted but victorious. "We did it," he whispered. "She is safe." And the alien woman nodded, touching the child's head. "For now, yes, but our journey is not over. We must be ready for what comes next." The man looked around at the valley, the sanctuary, and the distant shadows, knowing they had survived the worst, and that together, human and alien, they had formed a bond that could never be broken. The child smiled faintly, her eyes glowing with a light that promised hope, courage, and the future. And the man realized for the first time that they were not just survivors, they were a family, ready to face anything. And as the sun rose over the valley, casting golden light over the sanctuary, the man, the alien woman, and the child stood together, victorious, their hearts full of hope, knowing they had overcome the hunters and claws. "I'm the new beginning,"